We've now reached a stage where we all accept that the people of Gauteng have rejected e-tolls. When I addressed this House, I declared that e-tolls are history. We had a meeting with all affected parties. We held a meeting with the Minister of Finance. We also held a meeting with the Minister of Transport. All of us now have reached an agreement that by the 31st of March this year, the formal process to switch off and de-link e-tolls will begin, and e-tolls will be history in our province.
So let's segue then into our conversation as we discuss this very issue. Given what we've heard about e-tolls over the course of years, is this really the end? Let's speak to Wayne Duvenage, OUTA CEO. Wayne, thank you so much for your time. I think you and I have had countless conversations about e-tolls over the years, and I wonder, how do you react to that?
Yeah, look, hopefully we are pleasantly surprised this time. But it sounds like a stuck record. I think he's had the same discussions with us, with the public in the past, in October 2022, when they had discussed with the Premier, the Transport Minister and the Treasury about finding a solution. Well, here we are again. I think this is the umpteenth time that a new deadline has been set for the end of e-tolls. So it's a case of, do we believe this is going to happen this time around? We're not sure.
And I wonder, because, you talk about the discussions that have been had over time. There were discussions, there were protests, there was so much that, has happened. And even the Premier saying that the people of Gauteng have rejected e-tolls. They rejected them years ago. But I wonder then, where are these discussions failing, in your view? Because we've not been short of discussions. We've not been short of resolutions that have been taken to deal with the e-tolls. So where is the process failing?
Well, I think the process is failing just in government's inability to implement its own decisions. So if you go back in time, this decision to stop chasing and summoning the public took place in 2019, in March 2019. And so that was the end of the recovery process. The writing was always on the wall. It never got over 40% compliance. And for the last 3 or 4 years, it's been down at between 10 and 15% compliance. The issue that we've got, though, is that this is a national decision. The SANRAL is the South African National Roads Agency. It is backed by bonds from National Treasury. The roads and the assets sit in the National Registry of SANRAL. And yet here we have a province who is financed by National Treasury 85% of the time. And the province themselves unable to make this decision. The money's going to come from national anyway. The real issue now is why is province being sucked in to have to pay 30%? And secondly, why are they having to be sucked into maintaining these roads? They're not the province's roads, they are SANRAL's roads. So there's a lot of confusion still, a lot of discussions taking place, a lot of decisions, but everything comes down to, if you can't implement your own decisions, then you have a problem.
And I suppose there's also the confusion as well, where a number of people are still asking then, if you are taking this decision at the end of March, and should it come to fruition, what happens then to the people who've already paid?
Yeah, well, unfortunately, as far as we understand it, they're not going to get their money back. Last year, Panyaza Lesufi is on record as saying about 6.9 billion rand that has been paid by people in the past will be refunded. I think he's trying to backtrack on that. It wasn't his decision to make. That money was paid to SANRAL. SANRAL has to make that decision. They're the ones with all the records as to who's paid what. So I think he's trying to get out of that commitment or that decision or statement that he made. And those who continue to pay just keep it on a life support, quite frankly. It's still earning about rand a month, well below the 300 million they were hoping for by now, or 350 million, of which a lot of it would have gone offshore, by the way. I think we're astounded by the fact that this decision's been made a long time ago, but there's just this leadership inability to implement.
What do you make of the timing of this announcement?
Well, I think they would be fools to think that this is going to score them any political points. The public have seen right through this. This has been a political hot potato and a political issue through, I think, probably 3 or 4 elections, if you count local elections and provincial and national, for a number of years now. So I don't think, if they think they're going to get any points from this, they would be wrong.
And Wayne, as a final question then, what happens if we get to the 31st of March? In fact, tomorrow, there are some who are expecting the finance minister to elaborate on this particular decision and the subject. We don't know, because right now we're still waiting for details. So what happens then should we get to the 31st of March and then we do not see that this is being implemented?
Well, again, as I said, we wouldn't be surprised because they've missed so many deadlines. What we would be then saying again, as we have on umpteen occasions, to the 10% of people, mainly businesses, mainly car rental companies, a few individuals, you are keeping the scheme alive. You will not get your money back. Government has made a decision to end the scheme. The quickest way to end it is to take it off life support, give it no injection of any funds, and then government has to quicken their decision because they've got salaries to pay, they've got rents to pay, and they'll have to then find the way of repurposing the entire system, which they have a good plan for, by the way, but they need to get there sooner rather than later. So we wouldn't be surprised if it's still alive after the 31st of March, and we appeal to the people who are paying just to stop now. It doesn't make sense to be the only ones who are paying. Nobody's going to come after you. No government is going to hold you to ransom or take you off the procurement registers now if you stop paying. Everybody else has.
All right, Wayne, let's see then if we do get details tomorrow, as some people are predicting, or even in the coming days, to see what happens then, because there's a lot of questions about how they repurpose the gantries, the maintenance of the roads, as you say. What happens? Is it still Gauteng's responsibility? And what happens then to that, user pay, principal quantum? So there's a lot of questions that, as you say, still deserve answers. So let's see then what happens in the coming days if we do get some answers. That's Wayne Duvenage, the CEO of OUTA.